So guys, welcome back to the channel, and I think I'm going to do something a little different today. You know what? My camera is not lined up. Let me put down the microphone. Let me just move this over a little bit. Okay, let me hide this charging cord. Okay, I think that's a little more lined up, but I'm going to do something just a little bit different today, and I'm actually going to hold my microphone. Usually my mic is like pinned on the inside of my shirt, but I've noticed that it's been pulling my shirt down just a little bit, and my wife said I was ruining my shirts when I pinned the mic to the inside. So this is how we're going to do this video. I don't think this is something that I can do all the time, but maybe I should invest in some kind of permanent mic setup for these types of videos. But guys, today, my mic situation really doesn't matter to you, but today the information that I'm going to be talking about might matter to you, because we're talking about running myths, and if you believe some of these running myths, it could be holding you back. So let's get into it. Hi guys, thanks for sticking through that intro, and I came across an article in the New York Times, no less. Of course, if there is an article on running in the New York Times, it is definitely made for mass consumption, and this article is titled 6 Running Myths That Could Be Slowing You Down, and that is obviously information that we need to know. And look, right up front, I think some of these myths that could be slowing you down, you probably know what they are. They may not even be myths to you anymore, but that means that those myths are not for you, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that they still think that these things are true. And if you are one of those people, that's who this video is for. If the following myths are not myths to you, then thanks for watching anyway. But before we get into the list, I just want to say, or just, I say it every time now, but I just want to remind you that I will be running the 2026 Tokyo Marathon. And to do that, I will be raising money for Ronald McDonald House. And of course, my primary way of raising money for Ronald McDonald House is through you guys, the generous people that watch my videos. And a lot of you have already contributed. So thank you so much to each and every one of you that has already contributed something. And in fact, at this point, at the filming of this video, we are actually 38% of our way to our goal. My goal is $2,000. We are 38% of the way there. That's $761. So I think this is pretty normal, but there was a big push in the beginning. A lot of that money was raised in the first couple of weeks, and now we're just kind of trickling in, which is totally okay because there are several months to go. Let's get into the actual video and let's talk about some running myths that could be slowing you down. And you know what? If you are a runner, then you're probably like consuming running stuff online, right? Like you read the articles, you follow the running creators on all the social medias, and you are consuming a lot of information about running. Some of that information may not be correct. I know, that's surprising, right? Who knew that the internet could be a place for misinformation? But here's the thing. For some people, some of these things may be true, and for other people, they're not. And that's where we get these really heated debates about running topics. When it comes down to it, it is just running. But some people have some strong opinions, and that's okay. We just have to be careful of the advice that we take, about running. I mean, most things as well. But you're here for the running, so we'll keep it at that. Now, the article in the New York Times starts out, oh, by the way, I will put a link in the show notes below in case you want to check out that article, and I will place a link in the show notes below in case you want to donate to Ronald McDonald House so I can run the Tokyo Marathon. But anyway, the article starts by pointing out they go back to the early 2010s when the minimalist shoes were all the rage, and people just thought that minimalist shoes were the be-all and end-all of running. Like, that is how it's done. And I think maybe that has something to do with the book Born to Run. But anyway, since then, the pendulum has swung, and now we are on the max cushion end. Guys, you will be hard-pressed to find a company that doesn't have a shoe over 40 millimeters of stack. I mean, there are shoes out there now with over 50 millimeters of stack. And of course, I think it's pretty intuitive that if you're running in a max stack shoe, you're going to be reducing the impact on your body, and you could potentially have a lower rate of injury by running in these max stack shoes. Well, that's actually not true. And just because you have more foam under your foot, it doesn't mean that you're striking the ground with less force. I think many of you probably already know that. And if you don't, there's a boatload of information out there backed up by science that will corroborate my story. Max cushion shoes do not lower impact. But anyway, let's get into the article and let's talk about the myths that apparently some runners still believe. And this first myth is that distance runners don't need to lift weights. And I don't know, this is a recent article. I think this was published in the last couple of months. But I was a little surprised to see this at the top of the list of myths because I don't know a runner that actually thinks they don't need to lift weights anymore. Do you know what I mean? It seems like a very antiquated way of thinking. Like I remember hearing runners say, no, I'm not going to lift weights. I'm a runner. When I train, I go out and run. But it seems like that we've grown, we've evolved, and we know that we need to lift weights if we want to be all around healthy. And by lifting weights, you will become a better runner. Lifting weights is going to make you more resilient to injury, which as someone who is currently injured and I haven't run in about a month and I I hope I only have a couple more weeks to go, I can really appreciate this. Unfortunately, I always lift weights, so that didn't actually save me from being injured, but I can't say that it hasn't saved me from getting more injured over the last couple of years. And basically, look, if you are doing a repeated action over and over again, you have the potential to get hurt. And by strength training, you are lowering that chance of getting hurt. So everybody, if you are not already strength training, I highly recommend you give it a go. It doesn't have to be much. A couple times a week, 20 minutes a time, is more than enough to get started. And you will definitely reap the benefits. I hope you never have to see how you reap the benefits, because hopefully by strength training you just won't ever get injured. Actually, by not seeing the benefits, that's actually the benefit. But yeah, I think that's pretty obviously a myth, and I'm sure none of you believe it. But the second myth is that you don't have to eat after a run. This is one of those, I don't know, it's one of those funny myths, because it does, on the surface, it seems quite obvious that you do need to eat after a run. If you've gone out and you've expended energy, then maybe you need to put that energy back. But I can see how maybe if you're on a weight loss journey, then it might be difficult to actually eat after a run. If you've burned X amount of calories, you don't want to come home and immediately put those calories back on. But this is a mistake. Your recovery from that run is going to be better and more effective if you eat. And of course, it doesn't help, that we live in a society that always says, listen to your body, only drink when you're thirsty, only eat when you're hungry. And this is also a myth. Did you know, and look, I'm sure that a lot of you that have run races, or at least maybe run long distance races, have experienced this. No, actually, I think all races, I think maybe even like 5K and 10K, because I think it's based on intensity. But after a hard run, your body decreases its production of ghrelin. And ghrelin is a hormone that causes hunger. So all of you that have raced, you are going to recognize this feeling, how you know that you need to eat after a run, right? Let's say that you finish a half marathon, a marathon, right? You are trashed, you have put in a hard effort for hours and hours, and you know you need to eat, but the desire to eat is just not there. You're just not hungry. I've definitely been a victim of this over the years, when it's just like, I can't be bothered. I'm not hungry. Why do I need to eat? Well, that temporary feeling is, it's temporary. You can't trust it. Just because you're not feeling hungry doesn't mean that your body doesn't need food. I guess that's what it boils down to. Because ultimately, the advice is don't listen to your body. You know better. That actually serves a double purpose, because there's a lot of times before I go out for a run in the morning when I don't feel like it, my body is telling me, no, you would rather just stay in bed than go out for a run. And I wouldn't listen to my body then. So why should I listen to my body when after a race and I'm exhausted and it's telling me I don't feel like eating? Why would I listen to it then? No, I'm going to eat. I'm going to at least drink, right? Go and grab a nice chocolate milk. I think that really hits the spot any time of the day, but especially after a race. The third myth that runners often believe is that lactic acid causes soreness. And this is a pretty pervasive thought. The article cites a professor asking 20 student athletes if lactic acid causes muscle soreness, and every one of them said that it did. So lactate, as you know, is an energy source that is produced when your body breaks down glucose. Now, during intense exercise, lactate production is often accompanied by an increase in hydrogen ions. And it's those hydrogen ions that can actually contribute to that burning sensation that you know when you're really putting in an effort. Now, post-exercise soreness is not related at all to that. In fact, that post-exercise soreness, that DOMS, is actually the little tears in your muscles that you have intentionally put there by working out hard, right? Those little tears are how we get stronger. Your little muscles get tears in them from running hard or from working out in the gym, and then when they repair stronger. So the soreness is not lactic acid, it is microscopic tears. Moving right along to the fourth myth, all right, I got it right that time, and that is that energy gels are always tough on your stomach. And I suppose, I guess some people would say that energy gels are always tough on their stomach, unless they're not. No, but seriously, I've had plenty of energy gels that have been tough on my stomach at some point or another. More often than them being problematic with my stomach, they're not. We just tend to remember the negative things that happen, right? If I took a new gel, and right after I took that gel, I had to stop at the loo 5 times on a run. Yes, I am going to blame that gel. But here's the thing. A lot of times, we are taking gels when we're already dehydrated. And that can actually aggravate stomach issues. So it's really not fair to base a gel making you feel a little queasy when you're actually taking it in a state where it's going to make you feel queasy. Also, if a new gel makes your stomach upset, it's because it's a new gel. We have to train our stomach to accept certain foods, right? Your stomach is a muscle, and just like all your other muscles, you can train it. Wait, is your stomach a muscle? No, there are muscles in your stomach, but I guess the end result is still the same. You can still train your gut to accept different gels. So this is a good time for you to let me know your experience with gels. Have you ever had a time, and this is like the most important thing that I want to hear. I want to hear about the bad times. Have you had a time when a gel really just did not agree with you? Like you had to stop all the time to go to the loo? And of course, I think the natural follow-up question to that is, what are your gels of choice? For the last couple of years, I've been using Morton gels, and I haven't had any issues with those, causing any troubles with my gut. Okay, moving on to the fifth myth, and this is something that I can get behind, because the fifth myth is that rest is always the best way to heal an injury. So what that is saying is that rest is not always the best way to heal an injury, right? The worst thing that you can tell a runner, like when they're saying they're injured, is that, it's easy, just rest. Just don't run. Look, there is a place for this kind of advice. I totally get it. Like if you've got a stress fracture, yes, resting is going to be the only thing that's going to cure it. You need to just deload that bone that's broken. But in some cases with ligament and tendon strains, total rest might be counterproductive. Those types of injuries, we need blood flow to actually get in and help heal whatever's wrong. So by stopping all movement, you can actually slow down that recovery. Now, of course, if you do have an injury, you need to consult with a doctor, a trainer, a PT. I mean, there's a lot of people that you need to get advice from. Definitely don't rely on me, just some dude on the internet. But at least I think it's hope. It gives me hope. I don't have to stop doing everything just because I'm injured. It's definitely a good thing to hear. Okay, moving on to the myth number 6. Moving on to the sixth myth, I should say. Just can't help myself from dropping very clunky sentences now and then. But moving on to the sixth myth in the New York Times article is that real runners go hard every day. And this, I don't know. I can see why this is an attractive myth, because when you're into it, when you feel like going for a run, when you're seeing these gains, it's very easy to just think to yourself, real runners, they go hard every day. If I'm seeing gains from doing 5 days a week, imagine what I would be like if I could run 7 days a week and just do speed workouts all the time. I'm going to go hard all the time, and I'm just going to be the best runner that the world has ever seen. No. Doesn't work like that. That's probably why it made this article. You actually don't need to push your physical limits every single day of the week. Rest is where we get stronger. So when you go out and you do a workout, you need to let that body recover to build back stronger for the next time. There's also a lot to be said for easy runs. Now, your coach is going to be able to design a program that is going to work specifically for you. But I guarantee it's not going to include going hard every single day. And if you do have a coach, I'm pretty sure that it's not going to mean running every day. Your body needs that time to recover. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know when I say that your body needs a mix of hard days and easy days. And that is how you're going to improve. So guys, are there any myths that you have heard of or that you have believed yourself? That would be good. And perhaps that you don't believe anymore. I guess if you still believe them, then you probably won't be able to tell that they're a myth or not. So this is going to involve kind of looking back at our less informed self of the past. And let me know, what myths have you believed through the years? Definitely drop a comment and let me know. Oh, and if you have made it till this point in the video, I want you to drop the green face emoji. And look, I know last week I had the puking emoji. This week I'm going to have the green face emoji where the person is almost throwing up. And that is because they had a gel. And as we all know, running gels always make you sick. Oh no, that's a myth. Anyway, it's Matt B. These have been some running myths. Thanks for staying all the way to the end of this video. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.